The advice and opinions expressed by Dr. Granpeesheh and her guests are meant solely as suggestion and should not be in any way construed as child-specific advice.
Dr. Doreen Granpeesheh is
Dr. Doreen is an expert in autism.
Doreen Granpeesheh.
Dr. Granpeesheh.
Dr. Doreen Granpeesheh.
Dr. Doreen Granpeesheh is a visionary in the field of autism. Now you can ask her questions on Ask Dr. Doreen. Good morning and welcome to Ask Dr. Doreen. I'm Shannon Penrod and look who we're here with live.
Hi, everyone.
What is today's date? Is it the 5th of August? Is it
I think so.
Chris is saying it's the 5th. 5th of August, 2025. We are live right now. Shocking, I know, because we've not been here in a minute. I've been on the road and sick. You can hear it a little bit in my voice.
my gosh.
When am I not sick anymore? Just put a drool bag on me and put me out to pasture.
So bad.
And anytime I fly, forget it.
Yeah.
And I wear a mask when I fly. I'm the only person on the plane with a mask. And what does that tell me?
Get it?
Maybe I need to ditch the mask. But in any case, I'm here. I'm still breathing. The rumors of my death have been greatly exaggerated. And excited to be here and grateful to be back in sunny California and here with you.
Yes. Our timing also. Like, I haven't been in LA and you've been we just haven't had the opportunity to be here together.
And I was trying to coordinate it so that I would be gone when you were gone, and then I just
Right.
marfed it all up. It was just not my finest hour.
Not at all.
But thrilled to be here.
Good to be here.
And we're live, which
Yes.
means you guys can be writing in right now and having conversations with us. If it's your first time for some reason, and I'm just going to do a shout out right now to Rosie O'Donnell. Rosie, been watching you on TikTok. Hope you're watching. But if it's your first time watching, Dr. Granpeesheh, oh my gosh, what an expert in the field of autism. How grateful should we all be for her? And I know that so many of us really are, because I've always said that you can see around corners. You've seen things before they come. You're a master at perspective taking. You have brilliantly, for over 40 years, been looking out for our families and for for the individuals on the spectrum. At all levels. If you guys have not seen her on the rehearsal, you need to watch the rehearsal and watch her on the rehearsal. You were so good on that. But anyway, we're here with her, and she donates this time to answer questions from you, whoever you are. If you're a parent, if you're the individual who's on the spectrum, my goodness, do we love hearing from you. We love hearing from teachers. We love hearing from professionals in the field who are working with these individuals that we love so much. So write in your questions right now. We always have a starting topic, and today's starting topic is make it fair, make it fun. I know that there is such controversy about ABA in the world, and there's a lot of people who are very skeptical about ABA because there's a lot of negative things said about ABA. And recently, this whole thing came to head where people were talking about assent, that you need to have assent whenever you're working with someone. And for me, as a parent, I was like, I get the gist of that. I get what you guys are trying to get to, and I appreciate it, because we want to have happy people doing ABA. But it's problematic for me in that assent, how do you ask a child to care about something that they don't care about? I love what you say. I follow you. You say it has to be fair. And I find that if it's fair, then I think we get to the same thing that the people who are talking about assent really were wanting, but got themselves mired in some mud.
Yeah.
So maybe if you and then we have a bunch of questions, and I know you guys can write in on any topic, including this, but if you can just talk for a second about what you mean when you say it has to be fair.
Yeah, and if you don't mind, I actually want to address the whole assent issue as well.
Yeah, go for it.
So, for me, I'm always looking at things a little bit from a different perspective, and I think that's because A, I've been in this field for over 40 years, and B, I was first a psychologist and then became a BCBA, right?
Yeah.
So, kind of together, but the BCBA, the BACB didn't even exist when we were studying. So, I always look at things a little bit differently because, for example, in the field of psychology, there's a thing called informed consent, which obviously is also in medicine.
Yeah.
And every time you go to a doctor, you have already signed something that is giving informed consent. That means I am informed of what you're supposed to do with me right now, and I'm giving you consent.
Right.
Now, you do that for just a blood draw, and you do it all the way for surgery, and you do it for chemo, and you do it for ABA. You do it for everything.
In fact, it's so ubiquitous. I think sometimes we don't notice when we're signing it.
Absolutely.
We're
100%.
Whenever you go to the doctor's office and they like sign here, you're signing informed consent.
You're signing informed consent, and a lot of times people confuse that with HIPAA. HIPAA is a completely different document that only came about, a decade ago. HIPAA has to do with your records we're going to keep private. That's all it is. But informed consent is really important. Remember, it's not, now notice, it's not called just consent. It's called informed consent. What does that mean? That means that you have read or been told in detail what is about to happen, and you have now consented to them doing that to you.
Yeah.
Okay. The informed part is very important because this means that you have to understand what is about to happen. You have to have the ability to fully comprehend what is about to happen. Now, the truth is, when you're about to go under surgery or something like that, you don't really understand.
Right.
But you understand to whatever extent a layperson can understand, right? You take that same concept and you apply it now, and I can understand completely that the field of BCBAs, or the entire ABA world, wanted to make sure that no one ever did anything to an individual with autism where the individual didn't want it.
Right.
And that's where the whole concept of assent came about, which actually originally assent had to do with research. But anyway, it is a term that has for many years been used in research of human subjects, which basically means make sure if you're doing research on someone, they know you're doing research. Okay, that's where it comes from. Now, the field of ABA then came in and said, no, we want to make sure all of our learners, which that's a whole nother indication of the fact that, the field doesn't like to call individuals who are receiving ABA treatment patients or even clients. They refer to them as learners, all the same thing. They want to make sure that learners have given permission, which is totally fine. It's the same, intent as, decades ago or hundreds of years ago in psychology, where we wanted to make sure there's permission.
Yeah.
However, in medicine and in psychology, if you notice, when you go to your doctor's office, at the bottom, it always says if you're the patient or if you're guardian, right? You or your guardian. And it's the same concept here. If an individual is a minor or does not have the ability to understand what is about to happen, in all of medicine and psychology, a consent is necessary, not an assent. Because if you think about it, you don't really go and ask a 10-year-old if they would like to have their wisdom teeth pulled, right? Or, a 6-year-old who might need a surgical procedure. You ask their parents, you ask their guardian, because that is the person who is able to be informed and give permission. Now, the same concept can apply to what we're doing and the whole concept of assent, Shannon, which is why I often think that it interferes with the true intent that it had, right? It has not been understood properly, let's put it that way. Right now, there's a whole movement in ABA that says you actually shouldn't be doing behavioral intervention unless the individual themselves gives you permission.
Right.
And that, to me, is absolutely would be fine if the individual is able to give permission. That means they fully understand what ABA is, they fully understand the scope of what's about to happen, and they say, no, I don't really want this, or I do want this, right? And if I don't really want this, then they shouldn't be there. Absolutely, 100%. But if they are there, the procedures of ABA are the procedures of ABA. You don't really go into surgery and say, I really don't want you to cut this way. I'd rather prefer you to do a lateral incision, because that's kind of what my preference is, right? A procedure is a procedure. ABA has been proven to be very effective. The person, whether it's the individual themselves as an adult, who can understand, absolutely 100% should say, yes, I want this, or no, I don't want this. That makes perfect sense to me. But that aside, if you are here and if your guardian has given permission and you are not able to give informed consent yourself, then the procedures of ABA are the procedures of ABA.
Right.
You don't modify them. And I'm going into this in great detail because there's, a whole movement of people that say things like, oh no, you should not, give additional prompting when an individual looks away, because when they look away, that implies that they're removing assent.
Right.
This kind of thing honestly makes ABA useless. It does, because there are procedures in ABA that need to be followed, period. Like, you cannot modify it to that extent.
But you understand what they were trying to get at.
100%. What they were trying to get at was fairness.
Exactly.
Was making sure no one is abusing this very vulnerable population.
Which is critical.
Which is
But if they use the wrong word.
They use the wrong word and they define it incorrectly, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, if you go back again to medicine, right, or psychology, and you have given consent is what's given when you're an adult or when your guardian gives approval for a procedure, right? Yeah. When you've given consent, that's the end of that. You sit back and you let the people do their thing.
Right.
Okay? Here, we're doing two things wrong. First of all, we're saying the individual themselves, which in most cases is a minor, needs to give permission, and that is just not something that always works. And on top of being a minor, has difficulty understanding language, has the symptoms of autism, is not always able to give permission, right? So we're saying we need the consent from the parent, but we also need this assent. And if the individual can't vocalize or even communicate, then we have to interpret what is their permission, assent, which means they have to always be happy. That's just an example of this. Right. And you are not always happy when you're in the middle of behavior change. Right. All of us, every single one of us, when you wake up in the morning and you tell yourself, oh, today I gotta go to work, and then I have to work out and I have to do this and that thing, you are regulating yourself. You're not necessarily giving a body image or a facial expression of happiness. Do you know what I mean? So it is impossible to really read assent. It is impossible to say, oh, if I'm withholding a reinforcer because this individual right now hit the person next to them and they're not happy about it, so I should stop because they've removed their permission. Yeah. This kind of stuff starts to really modify the entire intervention. And I always speak the truth, right?
That's right.
I'm not trying to make ABA anything it isn't. Right. It's in some cases, sometimes some phases of it are hard. Yeah. Because you're teaching the individual a new way of communication. You're teaching them they cannot have everything they want when they tantrum, as an example. They must use some form of acceptable communication to gain what they want. Those types of things are not going to be things where you can see the individual's facial expression approving of it, right? So it's a little bit confusing. I hope I didn't confuse the listeners, but I want to be very honest about it. Right. I feel like the intent was to protect this vulnerable population, and it has just come across incorrectly, and it is causing issues within the field because...
Very much so.
You know, and the real issue goes back, sorry, Shannon, now roundabout, but it goes all the way back to how do we make sure it's fair?
Because I have the opportunity sometimes to be speaking to people, and assent always comes up.
Yes.
And I say to them, you know, my mentor is the great Dr. Doreen Granpeesheh, and she says it has to be fair, and let's talk about the difference. Because for me as a parent, I'm not a BCBA, I'm not even a behavior technician, but I can think of the myriads of examples that I went through with my child and the myriads of examples that I see with other parents. and assent gets sticky.
very,
And what
very
can end up
sticky.
happening is you get paralyzed, and a lot of times I see people choosing not to teach.
Exactly.
And to me, that's civil rights issue.
That's a good way to look at it, Shannon. I look at it from the perspective of if you react to the individual's, let's say, facial expression or body posture and so on, you may actually do the opposite of what you're supposed to be doing in ABA, and you may therefore be rewarding challenging behavior.
Absolutely.
And that is to the detriment of the individual. It's like you are teaching them that anytime they don't want anything, they should hit.
Yeah.
And that's going to be very, very detrimental to their life. That the whole purpose of ABA is to help make the individual's life better.
Yes.
And how do you do that? You teach them skills that allow them to enter the social world. That's all.
And I just had an epiphany because I just said, well, as a parent, I see this, and parent to parent, but also I'm putting it through the filter as a former teacher.
There you go.
And when
there
I
you
was
go.
standing in
Perfect.
front of a classroom of
Yes.
students, I have a job to do, and my job is to teach them. And they don't walk in the door and go, "Hey, I'm ready to learn."
Exactly.
Like, bring it to me. I'm here.
Exactly.
Just lay it on me. I have to help them to be ready to receive.
Right. Right.
I have to make it fair.
Right, right. And you have to make it fair and even beyond fair to some, wherever possible, enjoyable.
Exactly. That's
And
why
so-
the title today is Make It Fun, Make It Fair.
There
Yes.
you go.
Yeah.
There you go. And so going back to that subject, it's really, I think, in my mind, the best way to talk about it is to go to the concept of just behavior change, right? How do we change behavior? And this goes all the way back past Skinner, all the way back to Thorndike and the concept of just the power of reinforcement, right? And reinforcement is, right now we define reinforcement as something that increases behavior, that changes behavior. But when you look at ABA, you look at the whole field of behavior analysis, essentially what we're saying is that any behavior can be changed by modifying the things that happen before it and the things that happen after it, okay? The things that happen before it are called antecedents. The things that happen after it are called consequences. You modify these two things and you can modify behavior. How do you modify these two things? So let's say you want to change a behavior that is, I hit my friend when I want a toy. Okay, that's the behavior. What are some things we can do? Antecedent management would be things like make sure this individual is never really alone with a friend who has a tangible item that they want. You're changing things before they happen so that you are preventing it from even happening. Consequence manipulation is something like, well, if the individual hits their friend, you make sure that they don't get that tangible item that they were trying to get.
Right.
Instead, you teach the individual to ask, to share the tangible item, the toy. Can I please play with it too? Or even just pointing to an icon. Any form of communication that is more appropriate than hitting.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's an example of how you manipulate consequences and you manipulate antecedents. Now, if that scenario that you change the behavior, if you do that repeatedly, this individual learns, oh, every time I hit, I don't get access to this toy.
Right.
This is not an effective form of communication. What I should actually do is ask. That's all they want. Fine, I'll ask. Now, what have you done? You've done two things. You've taught this individual that hitting doesn't get you anywhere,
Right.
and that communicating does. Both of those things are highly valuable to this individual fitting into society.
Yeah.
Okay? And that is the whole, in a nutshell, all ABA is about,
Right.
is helping you fit into society. Now, if what you're doing on this end, like the consequences of manipulation, are too difficult, and they can be too difficult in lots of different reasons. For example, you could be drilling an individual who's 3 years old and you could be doing it for 8 hours a day. That isn't fair.
It isn't.
Right? You could be giving this individual a demand that I need you to talk in sentences when the individual can only utter one-word phrases.
Right.
That isn't fair.
Right.
You could be placing appropriate demands, asking for the individual to give one-word responses, but not giving them a good enough reinforcer. That isn't fair. You could be throwing things at them fast and they're not prepared for it. That isn't fair. You could be giving instructions that are too long. That isn't fair. Everything has to be fair. Everything has to be, you have to think carefully. How do I do this for this person? Okay, I know that this person needs a visual prompt. I'm always going to use that. I know that the things that are meaningful to this person are, he likes to color and draw. So every opportunity, I'm going to give him that reinforcer to color and draw. So it has to be, in that sense, fair. I'm going to give him very small, incremental, harder things to do so that it's not overwhelming. I'm going to give him lots of breaks. I'm going to make sure that in between, during the breaks, we do something fun. I'm going to make sure his session length is adequate. I'm going to make sure his parents know what to do at home.
Right.
So he doesn't go home and it's unfair there.
Right.
All of that goes into good ABA. And that, if you do all that, you don't have to worry about, did he turn away?
Right.
Yeah. That's kind of the summary of it all.
Well, it's amazing. And now we have some questions. I do want to say
course.
hi to Rodney. Rodney, thank you so much for being with us. We missed you. Okay, the first question. I've heard you talking about making it fair. I love this concept, but I'm not sure how to implement it. My son is diagnosed with autism, and while he is very smart, he hates, all in capitals, going to school. He will be in the 2nd grade when school starts in 1.5 weeks. I'm dreading it. He does whatever he can in the morning to delay or cancel us going to school. He can't find his shoes. He spills his breakfast on his shirt and has to change. He has a sick tummy. The list goes on and on. It wears me out every morning. I want him to love school, and he doesn't. It doesn't feel fair to make him go, but what do I do?
Perfect. So I hope this parent hears this response.
Yeah.
What would you do if your child did not have a diagnosis of autism and had exactly all of that?
It's interesting.
What would you do? Not every child wakes up wanting to go to school. The majority of children, your typical children, do not want to go to school in the first few, in the beginning, right? Until they find friends and so on. So here are things I would do as a parent of 3 kids, right? So, and I've done a lot of these things. So obvious, we all know the child, for some reason, doesn't want to go to school.
Yeah.
So what do? I want to, first of all, make sure what's happening in school, right? What is happening that might be frightening my child or causing my child to be unhappy here? So I'm going to do observations. I'm going to go talk to the teachers. I'm going to figure out ways to find out his entire schedule. And it could be a variety of things. Like, let's face it, it could be a mean child, which I'm going to find that out and get to the bottom of that. Yeah. It could be the material is too difficult. It could be he just doesn't have enough support there. It could be he doesn't have friends, so he feels isolated. It could be he can't communicate, he's falling behind, whatever it is. Like, I will spend days observing so that I can figure out what time frame is causing the stress.
Yeah.
In most cases, you can find that out.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can't, and that happens with all kids, where they will have, let's say, just separation anxiety going to school, right? So it's possible for any child to go through this. What do? You don't give in and say, okay, he's having a hard time today, I'm just going to let him stay home.
Some people do, but it's bad. Yeah.
Okay, but some people do because they use the diagnosis of autism.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about the neurotypical child right now.
Yeah.
When you have a neurotypical child who doesn't want to go to school, you still force them to go to school, but you help them. You prompt it, you make it easier in lots of different ways. You figure out what's going on there. You maybe go and stay there a few hours yourself and then fade back. I did that with one of my kids where I had to stand there for 2 hours and then sneak out.
How funny.
You maybe find someone else who they can be friends with. You maybe take them for a shorter period. You maybe give them big rewards in the morning when they're getting ready for school. You make it fun. You do all kinds of stuff, but you get your child to school. You know what I mean? Yeah. There's nothing different here. The child who has autism there's two things that are different. One is they perhaps cannot communicate with you well enough what is causing them to not want to go. Yeah. But then most 4-year-olds, 5-year-olds also can't really communicate that, right? Yeah. But perhaps the child with autism has a harder time saying, you know, I'm being bullied, or like I just am scared, I don't have friends, or I don't know how to keep up, or they can't tell you the cause, right? So you have to figure that out. And the second part of it is that we just give in because we're worried. We're like, oh, maybe I shouldn't do it. This is his autism. Yeah. And it's not. He's just communicating with you by not finding his shoes.
That's
He's
a good
saying,
yeah.
I don't really want to go. I'm a little scared. Yeah. And everyone is scared of everything new. My 24-year-old just went back home and she has to start studying again because she didn't like her exam results. And I'm like, and she's anxious. Last night she's calling me and she's like, I can't believe I have to start this journey again. I'm anxious. What do? I don't say, oh, don't worry about it. Just don't do it. Yeah. Right? I give her all the motivation I can. Yeah. It's okay. It'll be fine. You can do this, blah, blah, blah. We do that. That's what you do. It's the same exact thing. Yeah. It doesn't matter that the child has a diagnosis. If there are certain things they have to adhere to, make it easy as possible, make it as positive as possible. You do that. And then prompt them, help them, shape it so that they do succeed.
I just realized something, though.
Yeah.
Most of us aren't psychologists and weren't raised by psychologists.
This is true.
So when you, like, I know people who have neurotypical children who don't send them to school when they don't, like, I know that. And I was thinking, because since I've never sent a neurotypical child to school that was mine, I was thinking about when I was in 4th grade. Yeah. And I just started not wanting to go to school. Okay. And it took my mother the entire year
to get you back.
I was a fully verbal child. Yeah. But it took the entire year for her to ask the question. Why? And I said, because I get the bus that we had to go on the way to school would go pick up all the kids out in the rural area. And she in order to get us all there in time, she would go like 75 miles an hour over hills and I would get car sick. I would clutch the back of the seat and just be like, oh my God, we're going to die. I'm the person who gets sick on the tram going into Disneyland. So, you know, I mean, I'm so reactive. I get car sick on a stationary bicycle. I just am not a person meant to move.
Yeah, I know you have vertigo issues.
But, you know, it took her the entire... But by that time, I had already learned when you're home, you get to do so many more fun things.
So I don't want to go.
So it was a pattern, you know, that was hard. Yeah. But my mother... By the time I went to 5th grade, our bus route didn't pick up the rural kids, and it was no longer a problem. But my point is, all the things that you just said to do, we wouldn't have known to do. But you detailed for us all the things that we can do.
Well,
Make it fun.
And that's ABA, right? ABA is always, there's always the same rules. It's like, make it simpler. Like, it starts with that, right? Which, if you just make it simpler, if you turn that into ABA terminology, that means do a task analysis. Right. Use prompting. Yeah. Keep your SD short. These are all make it simpler. Yes. And then reward a lot. Yeah. Right? So that's all it is. It's make it easier and simpler, cut it up in little chunks, and reward. That's all it is.
And I will say, we've done a couple of, you know, I do the parent-to-parent sometimes on Autism Live. We've done a couple about back to school. I don't know if we're going to have time in the next week and a half to do one, but we've done them before. And one of the things that I see a lot of families do is having a ritual the first week of school or the first day of school. Oh, yeah. Big reward. Oh, yeah. We always went directly to the arcade after the first day. I have friends that they serve breakfast for dinner, which is a big deal in their house. Right. Something that makes, and we always make the first day sparkly with new clothes. In Europe, like different countries have different celebrations for the first day of school. Yes.
So, like in Germany, you get this thing which looks like a cone, like an ice cream cone. And it can be
that big.
It's this big. Wow. It's made of like cardboard, right? Okay. And it's decorated and it's filled with candy and toys and things like that. Every parent will take that for their child at the end of the first day of school, and that's what you get. So this is like, there's so many cultural things like that where you basically celebrate the child, which is the reinforcer. That's the reinforcer.
Yes.
So it's kind of like, just make it easy and make a positive big deal about it.
Yeah.
And you know, I don't want to take away from the fact that sometimes our kids, like, I'm imagining the most severe scenario, obviously, which is like, this is the first time the child is going on a bus. That's as an example. So when I say make it easy, it could involve a lot of different steps, right? That means this parent, before school started, would have had to expose their child to even going up the stairs of a bus, sitting on a bus, doing something fun on a bus. Like, sometimes for our kids, it takes a lot to make it easy.
Yes, that's true.
I don't want to take away from that, because it is a lot of work for parents to, you know, I remember when my kids were young and they hated going to the pediatrician, obviously, because every time you go to the pediatrician, you get some sort of injection.
Right.
So I had made it a thing where every single time after the pediatrician's office, we'd go down to the store.
Right.
You know, there's always a store in the medical building. And we'd buy each of them some sort of something, right? So they actually kind of looked forward to going to the pediatrician because of that.
Oh, and now at pediatricians, they give stickers or lollipops or something every time you... Jem loved the sticker whenever you would go to see Dr. and it was like, which sticker are you picking? Exactly. And it made it fun.
So those are just the basics of how you make it fair and fun.
And fun.
Right? The more demand, and then this is the fairness part of it. In the beginning, because you assume that it's harder in the beginning, the demand is very low.
Yeah.
So what you're doing is very simple, very easy, and the reward is very high.
Yes.
That's the secret, right? And you gradually, as this task, this skill becomes easier and easier, you gradually are increasing demand and you're reducing reward. Why? Because you want to get reward to a level that's in real life.
Yeah.
So because you want this behavior to maintain forever.
Right.
Now, if every single time I went to school every day, I expected one of those giant cones with filled with candy. It isn't realistic, right? I get diabetes from all that candy.
Yes.
So the bottom line is, it can be very high on day one, but gradually I need to reduce this so that by 2 weeks in, the reward is enough. If when you come home, I'm just like, yeah, you had a good day, great. How was it? That kind of thing. So you have to increase demand and reduce reinforcer, but always maintaining a balance of fairness. If the demand is hard, increase the reinforcer. Once it's easy, reduce the reinforcer. Introduce the next thing, increase the reinforcer. It's just, that's what it is. It's that balance, which is the fairness.
Yeah. And for everybody who goes, oh, because I see people do this all the time, they go, oh, you're just bribing the child.
Right.
I just want to say to everybody, though, that is the way our system is. Like, your paycheck is a bribe. If you really look at it that way,
100%.
It really is. That's the way the
behavior
world
changes,
works.
yeah.
And it's the way the world works.
Change. Absolutely.
So,
absolutely.
Sort of, I get it, but kind of get over it. Because unless you're willing to forfeit your paycheck, then, you know. Okay, this one. I think something might be wrong with me. I see other people having fun with their kids, and I just don't know how to. My wife reads to our son, and she makes all these character voices. I try to read to him, but he wants mom because she makes it fun. I don't know how to make fun voices. I just read the story. Is there a class to take or a book to read about how to play with your child if you aren't a creative genius or a former comedy improv performer?
That sounds like you. But then fortunately for you, your husband is also fun.
Yeah, I mean, he's much more fun than I am, actually, which is hard to believe. But I see a lot of parents who have this problem that they're like, but I don't know how to do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
What advice do you have?
Hard. That's so hard. I'm just really happy because we've just now, finished a series of videos on our new technology, neurodivergent parenting, which is just amazing, and it teaches things like this,
Yes.
right? It teaches how to connect. There's actually a whole program called How to Connect with Your Child.
Yeah.
I guess the feedback that I would have for this parent is you don't have to be your wife. There are other ways that you can connect to your child. There's so many different things that could cause a connection. Perhaps your thing is something outside. Maybe it's more physical. Maybe it's rolling or throwing a ball back and forth. Maybe it's going for walks and looking at the flowers. Maybe it's, I don't know, listening to music together, playing a musical instrument, coloring. There's so many other things that you can do to connect.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be the same modality. In fact, I discourage parents from trying to really do what the other parent is doing because it's not real to you.
Right.
And I have to tell you, it'll be fun for your child when it's fun for you.
There we go.
And if you're forcing it, it's never going to be fun.
Yeah.
So you have to do something that's real to you and like meaningful and fun and easy and flowing for you.
Now, before people start asking, is there a way for people to get access to the neurodivergent parenting just if they aren't a part of CARD?
Yeah, so there will be by the end of this year. So what we're doing right now is we're rolling it out internally to CARD, as you know, in August.
Uh-huh.
So all of our own parents will have access now, and it's grown. It's pretty big now. It has 50 somewhat programs.
Wow.
And then after we've done that, we're going to offer it to all of the families who are on skills.
Okay.
Because we do have that platform,
Yeah,
right? So that's our next rollout.
makes
I think that's in October.
Okay.
And then all we're doing is adding features for external, so parents outside can access it. That'll be next year.
Okay. Well, it's
I mean,
amazing,
it's only
you guys.
4 months from the end of the year, if you can believe that.
No, I can't. No, please. Okay, Dr. D, thank you for all you do. I have a question about making it fair. My teenager doesn't see the point of bathing. Sometimes I can't bear to sit next to him in the car. I worry about what the kids at school think and say. I need him to bathe regularly and not just stand in the shower. He needs to scrub. How can I get him to do that and make it fair? And they said, God bless you.
Yes. Oh. Sometimes we forget that the natural reinforcers that come in life are not meaningful to our kids.
Yeah.
So the natural reinforcer of bathing, what are those for typical individuals? One
it
is
just feels so good afterwards.
okay, so there you go. It feels good to you.
Yeah.
Right.
It's relaxing.
It's relaxing to you.
Yes.
And I promise you, Shannon, that there are lots and lots of kids on the spectrum who would feel exactly the opposite.
Oh, my husband feels, well, I mean, just in terms of the time of day, I can't go to bed without having a shower. And my husband is like, oh my God, it wakes me up. I can't possibly lay down after having a shower.
Me too.
And I can't go to sleep without having had a shower.
Okay, so that's so interesting.
Yeah.
And so that's why some people shower in the morning, others shower in the evening. Some people shower twice a day, whatever they want, right?
Yep.
And it also has a lot to do with like what's in your shower, right?
Well, that's true.
It's funny because I was just in New York and we stay at this hotel where their shower is the most insane experience I've ever had. Like it's so strong that it's like a head massage.
Oh,
it's like a head massage. So you just never want to exit the shower. You just want to stand there. We fight over who's going to shower on. But so the experience matters, right? And a lot of kids with autism obviously have sensitivities. They're afraid. One of the things we don't think about is the echo sound in a bathroom. There's so much stuff that we don't think about that is disturbing to our kids. Okay, so the natural reinforcers, the feeling of being relaxed, the feeling of being clean, the feeling of other people thinking you smell good, whatever it is, those things don't have any meaning for our kids. So you have to put an unnatural reinforcer at the end of that activity. You have to put some other type of reinforcer and don't fight it. So if you shower, you will get your most favorite food reinforcer. You will get your most favorite activity at the end of this week. You will get some sort of reinforcer so that the person starts to associates this activity gets me the thing I want.
Yeah.
When I do this activity, I get 30 minutes on the iPad right afterwards.
Right.
This is a very cool activity. The reinforcer doesn't have to happen inside the activity. That's natural reinforcers.
Yeah.
They occur as you're doing the activity.
Yeah.
But reinforcers can also occur right after. And these
There
can
you
be
go.
things that don't normally happen, but you can make them happen.
Yeah.
You can give the individual 30 minutes of their favorite activity after showering. Now,
But maybe a smell check, because this person apparently will stand in the shower, but there's no washing happening.
right. So it's not even a smell check. It's this is how you make it easier.
Okay.
So there have to be 3 steps.
Okay.
So put the steps on the wall. You have to do this and this and this. You have to get wet and wash yourself.
Yeah.
Maybe now you buy a body wash that smells so good that the individual actually wants to
Yeah.
wash
Let
themselves
them,
with
let
it.
them pick it.
Correct. And then the reinforcer doesn't depend on showering. The reinforcer depends on scrubbing yourself.
Yeah.
The one thing they don't do. You know
Right.
what I mean?
Exactly.
All you have to do is just reinforce that thing. And you could also say, you know, you have to have all 3 elements before you get the reinforcer.
Yeah.
But again, remember to make it fair, which means easy, modeling, step-by-step, reinforcer for each one.
Yeah.
Maybe if they do this, they can get their iPad. If they do that, they can get a snack too. They do this, they get a reward from you. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
totally
it's
do.
just, and don't fight it. Fighting it or telling our kids, you need to do this, that's ineffective.
Yeah, jeez, we all spend time there.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but we do. Okay, my nephew is 6 years old and has autism. He is nonverbal. He is coming to my house for a week to visit without his parents. My sister-in-law is
Oh,
having
that's hard.
surgery, and I need to make this precious boy feel safe while his mom is in the hospital. I feel terrible. I should have asked this before. I should have made an effort before we had an emergency, but here we are. How can I take a crash course in knowing how to connect with him, communicate with him, keep him safe and happy? Is there a trick? A bag of tricks.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of the things we just talked about today would be helpful, essentially, which is really try to break things down so that you're able to be on his level, so that you're communicating at a level that is comprehensible for him. If he's nonverbal, perhaps he has a iconic communication system. You want to learn that. It could be an iPad or UGG device. It could be PECs. It could be whatever it is. You need to make sure you understand it, because if you don't, he is going to come into an environment where he can't communicate.
Yes.
That's probably the most important thing. And then structure. I think whenever our kids go into a new environment and they're a little bit lost or feel, anxious because they don't know what's going to happen today, structure helps. So that means structure his day. And maybe put it on a visual calendar or schedule. So first we're going to do this, we're going to have breakfast, blah, 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 a picture of all the breakfast items. Then we're going to go for a walk, and here's where we're going to go, and these are the things we're going to do. Then we're going to sit down and do a craft of some type, and here's a picture of that. You get to choose the craft every day. Then we're going to watch TV. Then we're going to play on the iPad. Then we're going to do something educational. Structure the day. Show him pictures so that, and actually help him sometimes move them around so that he feels a little bit in control. That type of thing, like this picture is next, this is what we're going to do, and also this is what you're going to get. Like infuse the whole day with reinforcers. That kind of thing helps tremendously with kids when they feel anxious because they're in a new environment. And again, it's good that, Shannon, you read the question today, because really it is all about making the child feel like they're in a fair place where the rules are fair and things are, understandable. Everybody understands when things are fair, because what's expected of them and what they get in return are even. They're worth it, right? So that's all the major things that you can do, and that helps. How are you doing there with the
Coughing and choking and
No problem.
But I love how you just, like, you're such a professional and you keep going. I love that.
No, of course. Are there other questions on this subject?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, and we had a question, but then we also had a question written in, and it made me remember this because they're not from the same people.
Okay.
This one says, I'm an adult on the spectrum. Mm-hmm. I'm 24, but I live at home with my mom. I love my mom, but she doesn't watch your show, and she doesn't know about this fair thing. I have chores, but she won't tell me what they are until it's time to do them, which is usually right in the middle of my game. This is not fair.
No.
She decides what is for dinner. How is that fair? She tells me what time to go to bed. Is that fair for a 24-year-old? How do I help her to see that she should be fair? At the same time, we had a question from a friend of ours that I'm not going to mention their name, but they said, I'm having a birthday party for myself soon, and I want it to be Big Brother themed. I don't know if you watch the Big Brother show. I do. I admit to it. I love the Big Brother show. We should do a thing with you watching it because you would lose your mind as a psychologist. He says, I want to have Big Brother games. Listen, I want to come to this party. Big Brother themed food, even a watch party when the episode comes on. My mom and stepdad are arguing over this. They said, I need some help here. I want my special interest to be the theme, but my mom doesn't want it, and she wants it to be a traditional barbecue. I need help. I'm asking you too, Dr. Doreen, especially because of her expertise on special interests. What am I supposed to do? They think I'm being selfish and ungrateful, which I'm not. I just want some control. Please help us. So both cases, moms who...
Yeah. So I wish there was a certificate for becoming a parent, but there isn't.
Right.
It's the most important thing we do in our lives, and yet we get no education before we do it, which is kind of interesting. I'm with you in both cases. I agree with you. I think that if all you can do is try to calmly communicate your feelings with your parents. I think the way that you communicated it to me was fantastic.
Yeah.
And if you can just communicate in the same way, maybe even in writing, both of you, to your parents and say, the first individual, I am happy to do chores. I just ask that they be given to me ahead of time.
Yeah.
That's a very, very legitimate request. And if you just write that out for your parents and tell them, please give me my chores in the morning. That's all you're asking, or whenever you want, like early, for the next day, the night before, whatever it is.
Yeah.
That would be fantastic, right? I think they had a second thing too.
What's for dinner?
What's for dinner? Please allow me to also choose what we have for dinner maybe 3 nights a week. If you're living alone with your mom, I don't know if there's a dad as well. Divide it amongst the people who live there. Each of you gets 2 nights to choose, or 3 nights to something like that. You can even tie it in to doing the chores and say, if I do my chores, would you then allow me to pick dinner? Something like that. It might be that mom feels the choices that you make for dinner are unhealthy. I'm just, predicting. Maybe that's not the case at all.
Or maybe she doesn't want to cook what you like.
Maybe she doesn't want to cook either what you like. But I am sure there are a set of things that she is willing to cook that are healthy enough and that you like. So let's produce that list. Like, Mom, give me choices that you are willing to cook, and I'll choose from those. Just 3 nights a week, something that is fair, right? The issue of telling you when to go to bed as a 24-year-old, I have to say, you're right. As a 24-year-old, you shouldn't necessarily be told when to go to bed. But I will also say that as a 24-year-old, you would typically not be living at home. So if you are living at home and your mom is telling you when to go to bed, the way to reverse that is to say, to find out, why is she asking you to go to bed at a certain time? Maybe she's telling you to go to bed at 10 p.m. or 11 p.m. because if she doesn't, you will stay on video games until 3 in the morning. that also is not healthy. So
Or fair, because you're probably loud when you're doing it.
well, and unfair to her in other ways as well.
Right.
Even if you're not loud, she is trying to teach you to become an independent adult, and staying up until 3 o'clock is not. So that means she has to continue to support you. So it has to be fair both ways, right? So that part of it, maybe you can write into us later and let us know kind of what time is she telling you, and if she doesn't tell you, what time would you want to go? Is it negotiable? Can you
Right.
come into the middle and agree on something?
Compromise.
So it's always about communication, and the hardest thing, and not just for the folks who write in, for us as well, is when we're emotional about something, communicating it is very, very hard.
Yes.
We often don't communicate the way that we like to communicate, or that we intend to, and that's that's what makes things more difficult.
Okay, one last question. My 3-year-old is in ABA. It's hard right now because they're trying to get him to sit up when he plays with his cars. His favorite thing to do. But he likes to lay on the floor and look at them from the side or below.
The wheels, yeah.
Every time he does this, they prompt him to sit up. I can tell you, he doesn't think that this is fair, and he cries and cries whenever they do this. It's so hard. I know they want him to do this for many reasons. It will be good for him later, but is there a way to make it fair now? Please, it's breaking my heart.
Yeah. So I'm so glad this parent wrote that in, because like these are scenarios that you just have to think about and talk about a little bit. So here we go. So ask yourself, and you say, the parent is saying they know why, but the real question is why? Why are they asking him to sit up? Because when he lays down, that behavior of staring at the wheels of something going around is classified under what we call self-stimulatory behavior, or repetitive, ritualistic, stereotyped behaviors, which are a symptom of autism, right? Which is one of the things that, now, what's bad about them, right? Why do we try to get the child to stop doing those things? Well, the answer is, when they are doing those things, they're not engaging in anything else around them. I'll give you some other examples. When don't think about the young child with autism. Think about the teenager, neurotypical teenager whose life goes on like this, right? All they do all day long is they're on their phone, and they don't talk to you when they're on this. They don't look where they're walking when they're on this. They often do it when they're driving, which is scary.
Right.
They don't even listen to their teacher because they're doing this, right? So what happens? Why is it that we say don't keep doing that? Because they are not aware of their surroundings. They're not engaged in real life. They're not interacting. They're asocial. All of those things are not things we want, whether it's a 3-year-old or a teenager, typically developing or on the spectrum, it doesn't matter. So the real issue here is not about fairness. The issue is short-term reinforcer versus long-term reinforcer, and that's something you always have to think about. This, or whatever it is that the child is doing, is a short-term thing that they're getting, that self-stimulation, right? But in the long term, what you're trying to teach them is, if you stop doing this, you may actually engage with people around you, and you may actually get reward out of that. Right. So that's the goal. The goal is to stop doing this, laying on your side and looking at, okay.
It's very hard to make friends.
It's very hard to make friends.
I mean, I want to bring it to the level where it matters. Very hard to make friends if you're playing while you're laying down looking at the wheels.
Absolutely. It's very hard to learn anything from your environment if you're laying down looking at the wheels. It's very hard to pay attention to someone calling out, hey, fire, let's get out of here. If you're there's a million reasons why tuning out, which is what we do when we do that, when we do this, we're tuning out. But so that's something we want to reduce and control. So we all agree on that, right? Now, is it hard to do? So let's say I am a teenager and all my friends and all my everything is on here, whatever. I'm on Instagram, I'm on TikTok, I'm doing this all the time. And my mom doesn't want this for me, and they want me to reduce this to a point where I'm a little bit more aware because they want me to be safe, be involved in society, etc. The right way to do it is to make it easy, do it slow, and reward it. What did I say? Any new thing that you introduce, you want to make the demand low, the reward high. Right. So what do you do with this child? You don't have to stop them every single time.
Right.
What you can do is you can say there are times in the course of the day where you are allowed to do this.
Yeah.
They are every 2 hours, you get 15 minutes of laying on your side and doing this.
Right.
But when a therapist is here and when we're working, you can't.
Right.
During that time, I will give you, because now you're holding yourself back, right? And you're sitting up and you're doing it the proper way. I will give you a ton more reward for sitting up and doing it the right way. And at the end of the 2 hour session, it could be less. It could be at the end of the 1 hour, at the end of the 30-minute, whatever works for your child. I'm going to allow you 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes of doing this, and I'm going to leave you alone.
Right.
Right? Just like everyone else. What do?
Right.
We don't suddenly say, from today, I'm going to hide your phone for the rest of the year. What we do is restrict your phone time to an hour in the afternoon, an hour in the morning, whatever it is. This is about fairness, right? This is about balance.
Yes.
It's about balance. So you don't have to stop every single time. And if you're going to stop every single time, you better be offering that child another reward.
There we go.
Because you're taking away a major reward. Remember, self-stimulatory behavior is something the child enjoys.
Yes.
You're taking it away. So you better be rewarding it with something else.
Right.
And you better do it slowly.
There we go.
That's the answer.
There we are. And we're out of time. I just thank you so much for putting up
problem,
with me.
Of course. And Shannon, can I just say, in one of the upcoming shows, I would really, really love to talk about the word recovery.
Yes.
And kind of where we are with that.
Let's do that next week.
Yep, that would be great.
All right. I want to thank all of you for being here with us. We're back doing live shows now. Tomorrow we have a live show with a fabulous self-identified autistic who works in the financial world, is married, has children, and is going to talk about neurodiversity in the job force.
Great.
So great advice from him tomorrow, Grant Harris. We'll be back tomorrow. Until then, have a hug from me and one for your kiddos, and thank you.
Always a pleasure, and I hope you feel better.
Oh, I'll feel better. But anyway, we'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye-bye for now.
Bye, everyone.
Don't forget, you can watch Ask Dr. Doreen live every Tuesday morning at 10 a.m. Pacific time. We hope to see you there.